The Gemara mentioned in its discussion of how the Chachamim, Rabbi Gamliel Beis Dinai, Rabbi Meir Beis Dinai, and then ultimately Rabbi Amir, Rabbi Asiyu Beis Dinai, were geyser on the Kutim, and they said that even though historically maybe we treated the Kutim as being Gerei Emes, but moving forward, Mikano Lahaba, we're going to treat them no longer as being Yid. It all started with a story where a mayor had sent his Tam Reb Shimon Elazar to go buy wine from the Kutim. And he's en route, and Ashkeche Ahu Saba. Amalei, and Ahu Saba told him, V'samto sakim beloyecha im bal nefesh ata. And then he explained that the mus yoinam matzulem beroish hagrizin shal yoivden oisa, and I'm telling you, don't buy from here. So Reb Shimon Elazar goes back, he tells his Rebbe Rameir, Rameir says, I'm chayish l'miyuta. Usually chayish l'miyuta, benkach u benkach, kriyum bonim, right? We always spin it positively, but it works the other way as well. I'm chayish l'miyuta. And if some of the kutim are ivdei avodah zara, he viewed all the kutim as being ivdei avodah zara. And he said, if that's the case, we have to be chayish that maybe there's issues over here. And it was based on that. He was one of the tzaddikim in today's staff that made this gzeira on the kutim that moving forward we're not going to treat them anymore as being yid. Tosfos, the top Tosfos on Davav Amud Aleph says, Ashkechei Ahu Saba, Yesh Mefarshim. The Chom Makoim, Shehu Masker Ahu Saba, that every single time you find this language of Ahu Saba, Hu Eliyahu. You want to know who Ahu Saba is? It's referring to Eliyahu Hanavi. It says Tosfos Abavi Ef Shalom Arken. You can't say like this Yesh Mefarshim. You know why? Because if you take a look at the Gemara in Perek B'Madlikin, Shabbos Daf Lamed Daled Amud Aleph, B'Uvda de Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, you can't make this up. In the story with Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, over there Ahu Saba is mentioned, and there's no way in the world that Ahu Saba is referring to Eliyahu Hanavi. So what's this Gemara? Uvda de Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, just those words that Tosfos wants us to look up. That's a pircha on this thesis that Ahu Saba is Eliyahu Hanavi. So the Gemara over there is at the tail end of the story of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. After Reb Shimon Bar Yochai had been hiding from the Romans for 12 years and then for another year, and then finally he came out very much b'derech nes. So the Gemara says, Reb Shimon said, being that I was zoich to such a miracle, Ezel askin milsa, I want to go and I want to do something. I want to give something back to the tzibur. What's the connection between meriting a miracle and Ezen Askel Milska? So he said there's a Ma'isa similar one for this. The Pasuk says, Vayova Yaakov Shalom. That Yaakov came back from Padan Aram after he spent 20 years by Lavan, and he came back Shalom. Rav said, what does it mean Shalom? He was Shalom Begufay, Shalom B'Mamaynai, Shalom B'Teirasai. And then the Pasuk says immediately afterwards, Vayichan Es Pnei Oir. And Rav, the same Rav, went and said, that you know what he did? Matbeya Tikkun Lehem. He made coins. Shmuel said, Shvakim Tikkun Lehem. He went ahead and he made streets. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Merchatzoyis Tikkun Lehem. So Yaakov Avinu, when he had this hergish of I want to give back Ma'ashav Lashem Kol Tak Muloi Yoloi, when he was Zoichet to Vayova Yaakov Shalom, what did he do? Vayichan as Pnei Oyer. And regardless if you learn like Rav, Shmuel, or the great Rabbi Yochanan, he did some sort of action that made life easier for the tzibur. So Shimon Bar Yochai said, I see from the Zayda Yaakov Avinu, that's how you react to a miracle. When you are zoichet to a miracle, you go and you're mezakeh the rabbim, even in the simplest of ways. So Shimon Bar Yochai went to the Parnasim, and he told them, Ikam milsa the boy l'sakune. You need a matbeya, you need a shuk, you need a merchetz, right? I want to follow in the footsteps, in the lead of the Zayda Yaakov Avinu. Is there anything in that nature and ilk that you need? They told him, now that you mention it, Ikaduchta the Isbei Safik Tumah. There's an area where there's a Safik Tumah. This would say, it's very hard for the Kayanim. They always have to circumvent it and they get stuck in traffic. You know, if we can address this Safik Tumah here, you'd make life a lot easier for the Kayanim. So Shimon said, I'm on it. He said, is there anyone here that knows that maybe this area is Becheskes Taira? Ahu Saba. So Ahu Saba was there and he told him, Kan Kitzeis Ben Zakkai Turmasi Truma. He says, I can tell you what I know. I know that Ben Zakkai, as in Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, he once was here and he was being koitzeitz, zaroinim of Turmisen that were truma. And based on that, that would suggest that there's some sort of Torah. Avadiu nami hachi. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai went and he did the same thing. And the Gemara says, Kol heichad avakashi tare, any place that the dirt was hard, Tahare, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai was Metayer, B'koleicha Davar Rafi, or wherever it was Rafi, Tzayin, he was Messiah. Meaning there was a suffix Tumah because they knew there was Tumah in the area. The question is, where exactly was it? And he went ahead, and Rashi explains a little bit more exactly how he did this, somewhat al derech nes, but the bottom line is, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai went, and he knew what to be Metayer, and he knew what to be Metama. Amr Ahu Saba, so Ahu Saba was there, and he was Melagleg on the great Tana Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. He said, Tir ben Yochai Beisak Faris. He said, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, right, whenever you refer to someone, by the way, as Ben, it's always a lashon of lag. It's funny, when the Hahu Saba said in the beginning of the Gemara, Kan Kitzeitz ben Zakai, it didn't jump off the page. But here, where he's being melaglig on Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, Tir ben Yochai Beisak Faris, you see it a little bit more, right? Whenever Moshe Rabbeinu, they were chatting with him, what they referred to him as Ben Amram. But the bottom line is, Tir ben Yochai Beis HaKfaris. Aleis, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai told him, you would have had a right to have said this had you not been the one that was involved and you played some sort of role in us getting to this point. You know what people are going to say? Zionis get along with each other, even though Rashi says they're somewhat competitive with each other. Talmidei Chachamim like Kolshkein, and what Talmidei Chachamim are not noy covered zeh bezeh. Yoav be'enei, he looked at him, did Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, v'noch nafshei, and Ahu Saba died on the spot. Which, by the way, this is interesting because we know the story of Lag BaOmer is related to Loinagu Kavod Zeh Bezeh. That's from the Rabbi Akiva the Talmidav perspective. Here you see the story of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai is related also. Zoynois mefarchas oizu azu Talmidei Chachamim loy kolshkein. You're not being noy Kavod Zeh Bezeh, just a knetch. But the bottom line is Menoch Nafshe Dahu Saba says Tosfos. How could it be that the Eish Mefarshim hold the Chalmakim Shu Masker Ahu Saba Hu Eliyahu? It's impossible. You know why it's impossible? Because you see right here from this Maisa, there's no way there's Ahu Saba, who was Malagli Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, who ended up getting the Misa of Yov Be'enei V'nach Nafshei. It can't be Eliyahu Hanavi. It's impossible. So Tosfos, this is a pircha on this Yesh Mefarshim, which is interesting, because this Yesh Mefarshim is quoted a lot, certainly in our Chabura, but really, it's almost a misquote. Because if you look at Tosfos starts off Yesh Mefarshim the Chabagim Shu Maska Ahu Saba Eliyahu V'i Ef Shaloi Merkein, boom, with one sheast. Tosfos knocks out this whole hypothesis, and Tosfos has a Gemara that's l'chera checkmate, stating that if you take a look at the Chidah in his Sefer Pesach Einayim, it's on the Gemara Masechta Shabbos Daf Lamed Daled. The Chidah says that even though Tosfos knocked out this Yesh Mefarshim, but Tosfos did not mean to say that because of this Gemara in Shabbos Lamed Daled, Hahu Saba is never Eliyahu Hanavi. All Tosfos meant to say was that the Yesh Mefarshim said the Chol Makoim Shehu Masker Hahu Saba Hu Eliyahu. That I know is not true. V'aluchab Gemara in Shabbos Lamed Daled, where for sure Hahu Saba is not Eliyahu Hanavi. But does that mean it's never Eliyahu Hanavi? Zok the Chidah, 100% that's not the case. I saw in the Netzutzei Or on Shabbos Daf Lamed Daled. So Reb Ruven Margolis is mitzayim to a Medrash Hanela. This is in Zohar Chadash. It's in Parshas Lech Lecha. It's on Daf Chof Hey, all the way in the bottom of Amar Aleph. Reb Elazar Reb Shimon Pagabe beEliyahu b'diukna de Sabachada. Mefurish Zohar Chadash. He saw Eliyahu Hanavi and he looked like a Sabachada. Looked like a Husaba. That's what it means. But the bottom line is, so for sure there's a makar to the sinyan of a Husaba being Eliyahu Hanavi. All Tosfos meant to be madcha was the Chalmakim Shu Masker a Husaba Hu Eliyahu. That can't be, because connected that we have a Mefurish Gemara. Interesting for sure that on Lag BaOmer, for sure for our Chabur, that's one daf ahead, you have a mention of Uvda de Rab Shimon Bar Yochai, and even Ahu Saba, which clearly played a role in the story of Rab Shimon Bar Yochai. Truth is that Eliyahu Hanavi makes another appearance in that sugya, Shabbos Daf Lamed Gimel, Daf Lamed Daled, in the Uvda of Rab Shimon Bar Yochai. The Gemara says that after Rab Shimon Bar Yochai was in hiding together with his son, Rab Elazar Rab Shimon, they were there for 12 years. Isfu Treisa Shni b'Marasa. They spent 12 years in the Ma'ara. As Eliyahu Hanavi came, v'kam pischa de Marasa, and he stood at the entranceway of the Ma'ara. Omar, he said, Man loydei lebar Yochai, the miskeser batal gzerta. Who is going to notify Bar Yochai that the keser died, and this point, it's free to leave. So Shimon and Reb Shimon, they're in the Ma'ara. Eliyahu Hanavi's right in the front. They heard it, nafku, and they left. Again, Eliyahu Hanavi playing a role in the story of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. But I want to share with you a ha'ara, a lulei de mistafina diga ha'ara. But just to be makdim, and that is, I saw in the Sefer Shari Zohar from Hagoyin Reb Reuven Margolis. So the Sefer Shari Zohar is where Reb Reuven Margolis cross-references different mamarim that we have in Nigla together with Nista. So it's on this Gemara Shabbos Daf Lamed Aleph. Asa Eliyahu kama pischa de marasa. Zok Reb Reuven Margolis. This idea that you find Eliyahu Hanavi was standing at the Pesach is a theme that you'll notice you're going to find very often. Melachim Aleph Perik Yotes Pasuk Yud Gimel. Vayihi Kishmaya Eliyahu. Vayolet Ponov Ba'adartoi, Vayetze, Vayamoy Pesach HaMa'ara, Vihine Elov Koil, Vayomer Malach HaFoy Eliyahu. So where is Eliyahu Hanavi standing? Vayomer Pesach HaMa'ara. The Gemara says in Masechtas Brachos, Daf Gimel Amud Aleph. This is one of the very, very first Gemaras in Shas. Tanya, Rabbi Yossi said, I was once traveling on the road, and I entered one of the churvas of Yerushalayim, L'spalel to daven. Eliyahu Hanavi came, V'shamar li al haPesach, and he waited for me by the Pesach at the Ma'ara. V'himtim li ad shesiyamti tefila, lachash shesiyamti, and the Gemara tells the whole story. But where was Eliyahu Hanavi standing? Where was he waiting? He was waiting for him by the Pesach of the Ma'ara. Another famous Gemara. Gemara Masechtas Sanhedrin, Daf Tzadik Ches Amud Aleph. Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Ashkach L'Eliyahu, Davi Kaimi Apischa de Ma'arta de Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Yeshua ben Levi saw Eliyahu Hanavi, and he was where? He was at the Pesach of the Ma'ara of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, and he asked him, "Am I asina la'alma da'asi? Right? Am I going to be zoichet ha'olam haba?" And then he told him, "Emas asi Mashiach." So he told him, "Go ask him." And by the way, where was Mashiach? Veicha Yosef. He told him, "Apischa de Karta." He's at the entranceway of the city of Rome. But where was Eliyahu Hanavi? Eliyahu Hanavi again was at the entranceway of a Ma'ara. Which Ma'ara? The entranceway of the Ma'ara of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, the Ma'ara in Meron. There's a Medrash Mishlei. This is Perik Tes. This is talking about after the Ptira of Rabbi Akiva, Be'eliyahu. Va'amad al Pesach Beisai, shel Rabbi Yeshua Hagarsi. He was standing al Pesach Beisai, shel Rabbi Yeshua Hagarsi. This is a Zohar Chadash in Parshas Kisavai. Daf Nun Tes. Ad hachi asa Eliyahu zal chami de bacha. Ad hacha avar chad rucha va'afrishlan ve Solik Eliyahu gav Gilgal the Nur of Ishtar Reb Shimon ubachi ve'admach apischa de marasa ad hachi yas Eliyahu. He was standing by the Pesach of the Ma'ara Reb Shimon, and who shows up to meet Reb Shimon by the Pesach of the Ma'ara? Eliyahu Hanavi. And again, Omar, he said, Kum Reb Shimon, Ita Mishnascha, Zaka, Sulkachas, Mamish, a real Rashbi, Meron, Diga, Zayar. But the bottom line is, where does Eliyahu Hanavi see Reb Shimon Bar Yochai? He saw in the Pesach of the Ma'ara. So it says Reb Reuven Margolis, Kedarke, this is classic Reb Reuven Margolis. You have a Gemara over here, Shabbos Daf Lamed Gimel, where the Gemara says that Eliyahu Hanavi was able to, he was the one that was notified. He came with the Pseiros Tovus, tell Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, plus Reb Shimon, to come out of the Ma'ara. So where did he go to him? He stood on the Pesach, and he just made this hachraza. He just made the sakraza. He didn't walk in. He stood at the Pesach. Zog, Reb Reuven Margolis, take a look at Malachim Aleph Yutes that he's standing by the Pesach of a Ma'ara, and take a look at Brachas Daf Gimel, he's by the Pesach of the Churva, and take a look in Sanhedrin Daf Tzadik Ches, where again he's at the Pesach of the Ma'ara of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai in Meron, and take a look at Medrash Mishlei Perik Tes, where he's standing by the Pesach, the door of Yeshua Garsi, and take a look at that fire, the Gezoyer Chodosh, where he goes to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, and he tells him, wake up from your sleep. You know what a schus you're going to have. And again, where is he? He's at the Pesach. So you see that Eliyahu Hanavi always appears by a Pesach. Ad kan l'shoynes. I just had one hergish, and maybe this is a little bit emes, I don't know. But either way, we know that by the Leil HaSeder, the minig is that when we say Shvei Chamas Chal Agayim, so we go and we open up the door. We open up the door. Now, why do we open up the door? So the Pashup Shat, the reason that we open up the door is because brought down in Shulchan Aruch, it's to show that it's Leil Shimurim. And being that it's Leil Shimurim and Amazikin, usually you wouldn't open up your door in the middle of the night, but we open up our door to show Leil Shimurim. Now we do it when we pour the fourth kais, it's Yidua, from the Beis Halevi. He said, because 4 is really Zugas, and the Gemara asks the Kasha, you do Zugas? We never do Zugas. There it is, Leil Shimurim and Amazikin. So when you're Moizkin Kais Revi, that's the appropriate time to show that today is a Leil Shimurim, but Al Kapanim, that's Al Kapanim, that's what the Yid does. But Avada, we know from all the Chassidish Svarim that the Indian of opening up the door by Shveicha Maschal Agoyim is being Maskal Eliyahu Hanavi. And not just that, the Tzaddikim used to go to the door and they used to greet Eliyahu Hanavi. And that's this Indian that people was Zoichet to give Eliyahu by the Leila Seder, related to the Kaishal Eliyahu, V'advar Mati. But it always bothered me. You have to open the door for Eliyahu Hanavi. However Eliyahu Hanavi got from the West Coast to the East Coast, he'll figure out a way to get into your dining room. What's Pashup Shah? Eliyahu Hanavi is traveling all over the world. By the way, it's not a Litzanis. We know the Chassam Sofer in the Tshuva says, how's he allowed to go Chutz L'Tchum? This is a real thing. He's traveling, he's getting miles, he's flying all over the place. So you have to walk him into the house, Mechatesi. Well, okay, it's a nice thing. You have a Chashav guest, you greet him, that's the Pashup Shah. But you're not going to love him out. Right? You're not malav him out. So why do you greet him in if you're not malav him out? But it could be there's an oimek. Because you know where Eliyahu Hanavi is. Eliyahu Hanavi is a pischa de beisa. He always appears by the Pesach. Shveicha Moschel Agoyim. You go to the Pesach of your bias and you hope that you're going to be zoichet to see Eliyahu Hanavi, who's going to be mevas and psuras toivus. Yeah, I just want to end with one thing. Ahu Saba comes up a lot in Shas, right? Ahu Saba, right? Comes up all the time. We always give it a shout out. So we know it comes out all the time. I looked in the Toldos Tanan V'Ameiram. This is under Samach, Erech Saba. He counts all the times that you find Ahu Saba in Shas. Brachas Daf Hey, Brachas Daf Ches, Brachas Mem Gimel, Shabbos Chav Gimel, Shabbos Lamed Daled, Shabbos Tzadik Hey, Shabbos Kuf Yud Tes, Shabbos Kuf Mem Aleph, Psachim Tes Vav, Nun Gimel, Sukkah Nun Beis, Tainus Chaf Aleph, that's the story with Ilf and Rabbi Yochanan. Chagiga Chaf Hey, Ksubas Samach Beis, that's with Rabbi Akiva and his wife. Gittin Ayin Vav, Kedushin Yud Beis, Kedushin Ayin Aleph, Bava Basra Ayin Hey, Sanhedrin Daf Kuf Avodah Lamed Zayin, Makis Yud Aleph, Makis Yud Tes, Vachim Yud Beis, Menachas Chaf Ches, Lamed Zayin, Mem Gimel, Chulin Daf Vav, today's Daf, Chulin Chaf Ches, Kuf Chaf Aleph, Nida Daf Ches, Nida Daf Tes, and Nida Daf Chaf Zayin. Count it. You know how many times it says Ahu Sab in Shas? Can't make it up. It says it 33 times in Shas. I don't know. But either way, Ahu Saba plays a role in the story of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Eliyahu Hanavi plays a role in the story of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Ahu Saba is Eliyahu Hanavi. And like the Chidah said, that even though Taisus was doichet, but Taisus just meant to say it's not kol makom. But Avad Ahu Saba is Eliyahu Hanavi. And today, on the 30th day of the Omer, we counted 33 days in the Omer. The 33 day Ahu Sabas, we should be Zoicha that Ahu Saba, Eliyahu Hanavi should be Megal himself on the Pesach of all of our Batim. And it should be Mevaseh Psuras Toivus, the Biyaskoil Tzedek, the Meher B'Yameinu Ameh V'Ameh.